So I've been hearing lots of interesting stuff, and it's a hot topic for me in general because I've been calling for this probably for the last like year. Consolidation. There are too many players in too many spaces that we have not seen consolidation occur. None of the big players are coming over the top and dragging them in. Let's start with what space needs consolidation more than any other right now?
In the world of go-to-market?
In any world that you feel fit to talk about.
Okay.
I think we have too many planets. I was happy to see Pluto go. So, I mean, Neptune is clearly next.
Obviously. We don't need more planets. More moons.
But so I would just say, well, first I'm not saying that your take is wrong because every market consolidates. So like with all due respect, you will have your self-fulfilling prophecy on that prediction at some point. They all
they all do. What? Well, mine is
think, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say mine around a couple specific spaces. I just didn't want to be the first to throw them out.
Yeah. Well, but I remember this like when marketing automation, there was like 8 vendors, and these just like, in my opinion, like just intellectually soft people were calling that the market would consolidate. It's like, yeah, dummy, like there's barely enough room for 2. If you think about marketing automation, by the way, has done really well, but it's still not $1 trillion. I mean, it's a big business in terms of the value of the customer base is there, but it's, anyway, it was like, of course, like, so there's way too much. So to your point, Judd, there's way too much sales tech, marketing. I mean, you see the Brinker slides or whatever, you see that, but people are talking about consolidation for a while. And it seems like there was more consolidation when times were good and people had access to 0% interest rates. So even though we knew there are people that are there are organizations on the ropes right now, but we're not seeing a ton of consolidation because the buyer has to be feeling good too. And I think that's it. But we do. So to your point, anyway, that was just I don't even know why I said that.
Hot take.
There will be, I mean, I'm hearing the rumors too. There'll be some big consolidation in the sales tech space. It's actually it won't be picking up little guy. I mean, it'll be a merger of not of equals, but of fairly successful organizations, and allowing that combined organization to, hopefully deliver on, sort of not, it's actually, when I think about the consolidation, it's actually not, this is going to sound weird, so help me fight through this. It's not about the extra functionality. It's often about like the natural sort of flow of experiences. I feel like the stuff that we're hearing about right now, which I'm not sure we're talking about right now, but we are talking about right now, it makes total sense to me. Like all of them that I've heard makes total sense. Like the sales engagement platforms keep adding stuff, yet there's a market of vendors that have already added the stuff. So like, so yeah, you should come together, right? And especially if what Matt was describing, I forget what you called it, like the delivery mechanism or something like that. Like that, those things go together. But I don't foresee much, Judd, in marketing. Do you? I think it's sales tech. Is it?
I think so. Well, one that I can't wait to see what happens, and I think we've seen already some interesting things, no big plays, but obviously all the ABM platforms. I think that there's going to be some type of either consolidation or acquisition that's going to change that significantly. And my guess would be in the next 18 months. You heard it here first. No. And secondarily, I think that the other space that is on the cusp, I don't think it's quite there, but I think it's coming pretty quickly, is all the CS platforms.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. Good one. Damn it, Jeff. Yeah. There's a bunch now.
There's like, if you go to G2 and just plug it in, I mean, there's like 20 that'll come up that are all rated pretty well. But where are they in their growth stage? What kind of integrations are they having? Who are they serving? Are we going to see some of these little ones that may serve a specific niche get eaten up by the bigger guys? I mean, there's been one major player for quite some time, and I think that now we're seeing them actually lose traction and lose a lot of it right now. At least the data that I've seen, there's at least 1 to 2 other players are actually growing faster than them.
It's a space that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about. I spend most of my time thinking about MarTech and sales tech. For a long time, I thought for sure when Gong was first getting rolling, and Chorus, that SalesLoft and Outreach would just naturally acquire them. Then they got bigger than the valuation of those two companies combined. And I thought for sure that they would acquire one or the other. And the reality is to Craig's point, they just keep building the same functionality. So Gong starts off with a call recording. Now you can send emails through it. Outreach and SalesLoft start off as an email tool. Now you can record calls through it. So it's interesting. It seems like now it doesn't make sense for them to merge. Although, that space definitely feels like it's softened as there's been a significant amount of layoffs. So there's potential for it there. I think there's a couple other vendors in that space who have really great product that has just not, whether from, their ability to spend money on marketing for awareness just hasn't gotten there. But there's killer product that exists in a level below the visibility of a SalesLoft and an Outreach that I think would make a great acquisition for certain companies. But I mean, in the ABM space, we saw a fair amount of consolidation pre-pandemic. Demandbase acquiring Engagio, 6 Sense acquiring a whole slew of different vendors that were on the smaller side, but packed a huge punch. I think that they've done a great job of acquisition. The other company that I think has done a great job of acquisition is ZoomInfo. I mean, they've basically swallowed all data providers for the most part, with Dun & Bradstreet being one exception. I benefited from one of those at one point in my career. So it'll be interesting. Will ZoomInfo seek to acquire a marketing automation platform? They've sort of dabbled with building one of their own, but I think that could be interesting. The promise that Salesforce had for years of, hey, we'll have the CRM and we'll populate it with the relevant contacts for you, that sort of never materialized from a slew of acquisitions they made. I think at some point someone will solve that reality, and that will be, that will cure a lot of headaches.
So Judd, your predictions on the paper, but your predictions on paper in the next 18 months, I think. And what I will say is, I made fun. I sort of said you're going to have a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was trying to find a way to rip you and make it funny. It didn't sound funny. It sounded actually meaner than I meant. I did not mean it that way. But your self-fulfilling prophecy will come sooner rather than later. But what Matt said is important, which is it was when the money was flowing that the acquisitions were happening.
Could you guys see, and we'll end with this because I know we're at time. Could you see ZoomInfo 6 Sense?
I'm not going to comment on that one.
Oh, I'll comment on it. Absolutely. I think Henry's done a tremendous job of acquiring businesses that benefit their install base. Acquisitions that they've made have been very strategic. It's where they feel either threatened by somebody in the market, so they can just basically stomp them out of existence, or where they're like, yes, this would be natural for our sales reps to go in and sell this to our install base. And they've done a brilliant job of that on the execution side as they brought in these acquisitions. So 100%. And it honestly, that kind of feels like a match made in heaven. I don't understand the structure of 6 Sense at this point, just given that they're largely owned by private equity. But yeah, that seems like a natural fit.
Cool. Well, guys,
you guys know I'm a demand-based guy, so
I know. Well, I would have said demand-based, but I knew you couldn't say anything about that either. So, thanks for tuning in to GTM Unfiltered. To hear our innovative insights and strategies, visit gtmunfiltered.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time.